All right, y'all. We need to talk. Hello, BookTube. It is Saturday as I'm filming this. It's April 11th, I think. Yeah, it's April 11th as I'm filming this video. It is a gorgeous day, a gorgeous spring day, although it's kind of hot outside where I'm from. It's like in the 80s today, so it feels like summer. Anyways, I don't want to make this video too long and drawn out, but I finished a book today. And I thought about making this a reading vlog, but honestly, I finished this book, or got through this book so quickly that I don't even need to make this a reading vlog. But I want to talk about Dreamland by Nicholas Sparks because I did have it in my quarter two TBR card game video thing, and any book that I put out on the internet, I feel a responsibility to talk about after I read. So that's what I'm going to do with this book today. I do want to give a disclaimer to everyone who watches my channel. My TBR videos, and this goes for probably every other person who does these kind of videos, they're just that. They're just TBR videos. It's not an endorsement of the book. It's not an endorsement of the content in the book or of anything like that at all. Because I've not read the book and I don't know what's in it. And even sometimes if you do research on books, you don't always know exactly what's in it until you read it. Like, for instance, there's a book that I finished earlier this week that I'll talk about in my mid-quarter two wrap-up in next month. It's published by a Christian publisher, and it didn't have any kind of explicit content, anything like that. But it was a dual timeline book. The historical timeline was problematic. And I'll go into more detail and I'll tell you all about it in my mid-quarter one wrap-up, because I don't want to waste this video time talking about that necessarily. But that's a Christian publisher, and I feel like some of the content in that book was problematic. So that's just my little disclaimer. Like, my TBR videos and what I'm reading is not an endorsement of the book. If I give you a recommendation for a book, it means I've read it and I feel comfortable with the content in the book. Okay. That being said, I read Dreamland by Nicholas Sparks. It's a beautiful cover. I love the cover. At the recommendation of a coworker. And this is a coworker I trust because her and I have conversations about books we read. Neither of us really care for or want to read explicit sexual content or really foul language, so I do trust her recommendations, and she is a big Nicholas Sparks fan. This is my first book by him, so I can't say I didn't know what to expect. I know about Nicholas Sparks and I've seen some of the Nicholas Sparks movies. I went into the book knowing that it was secular fiction and that there could be content in it that I didn't like. And there was. So let me just tell you what it's about first, and then I'll tell you the content and everything like that. So basically in this book, you're following two distinct storylines that are very clearly separated, and you know what storyline you're reading as you're reading it. You follow Colby, who is a farmer from North Carolina who has gone on vacation in Florida. He meets this girl and they fall in love, very much insta love, very much you've known her for 2 days and you're saying you love her. Me. Was really not interested in that storyline. However, the storyline of Beverly was what caught my interest. Beverly is escaping her abusive ex-husband with her 6-year-old son at the beginning of the story, and you follow her basically leaving their house, finding a new place to live, trying to make it on very little money. And as her story progresses, things start to unravel. And you're like, what is going on? Because it starts to become like I don't know if the correct term is unreliable narrator type situation. I don't think that'd be the case. It starts to become like very clear that this woman is not in her right mind. There's something very wrong mentally, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and spoil this. If you don't want to know what happens in this book, like if you want to read this book, I will put the timestamp of when you need to skip ahead to right here. So towards the end of the book, it is slowly revealed that Beverly is not actually Beverly. Beverly is actually Colby's, the other main character, Colby's sister named Paige. And it's revealed through the end of the book that she actually has bipolar 1. And when she is when she is unmedicated in a manic episode, she actually can go into psychosis. So I took a lot of psychology classes in college, and so this part, very interesting to me. Once you find out that it's bipolar, then you think back to what you've read and you're like, oh yeah, she's very clearly manic in one part of the book and depressed in the other part of the book. And it explains what happens in bipolar psychosis. So basically she was hallucinating all of this, and she hallucinated her son, and yeah. And then you also find out that her husband and son were killed in a car accident like 6 years prior. So she was actually married, and she did actually have a son, but they got killed in a car accident. And so she's currently living with her brother on their farm. Like at the beginning of the book, you find that out. And then at the end of the book, you find out why she's back home living with her brother. I thought that it dealt with mental health and psychiatric disorders very well, and it was very interesting. However, the content is problematic for me because there was 3 fade to black scenes with the buildup being, well, at least for one of them, I think the buildup was fairly in depth. And I say I guess because literally like 50% into the book, I started skimming Colby's sections because I literally did not care. That's the other thing. Like I can't recommend this book for content reasons, but I also can't recommend this book because the half of the book wasn't entertaining to me, at least. Some people may say, well, Julia, why did you even read a Nicholas Sparks book in the first place? Like, it's secular fiction. You should have known. I don't really feel that way. Because like I mentioned, the book in the beginning of the video, that's technically Christian fiction, and I had a big problem with it. I finished it because I was interested in one of the characters' storylines, but I had a big problem with it, and that's Christian fiction. I really think that you never know truly what's in a book until you read it. I'm fully aware that I can give all the recommendations or not recommend books to all of you lovely people, and you can either listen to my recommendation or not. This was a trusted coworker that recommended this book to me. I went in knowing that there could be content that I didn't like, and I'm fine. You know, it didn't affect me. It didn't trip me up, cause me any problems. But because I did put it out there on my platform, I do feel a responsibility to tell you what I thought of it. Because I want you all to trust me and my recommendations. At the end of the day, most things in literature or fiction or whatever are personal convictions, kind of like how we dress is personal conviction, or whether or not we wear makeup is personal conviction, or it should be. You know what I'm saying? I don't ever want to get into a legalistic mindset about anything, because that's not healthy, just as much as not having any boundaries at all is not healthy. So, yeah. I just wanted to have a little discussion. This is a very impromptu video. Not what I was planning on posting or filming or editing at all. But, yeah. I just wanted to have an honest chat about a book that I read and put on my TBR, because that's what we do here. So, yeah, sadly I can't say I recommend this book, but I did think that the psychological suspense and the way that bipolar disorder was explained and handled and shown what people with that disorder go through, I thought that was handled really well, because from all that I know about it, very, very accurate. So if anybody has any recommendations of like a similar type book where it's dealing with similar things and it's kind of like a psychological suspense, drop those in the comments, because I want to know. If anyone has any, what is the word I'm looking for? Julia, get it together. Dupes, I guess? If anyone has any recommendations for that type of book, because I think this has opened my eyes to me liking that kind of story, let me know. Drop those recommendations in the comments. And I will see you in the next video.